Hello there, Pisces. Thank you so much for stopping by for your monthly in-depth tarot forecast. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to cover the 1st through the 8th of August. And as the video progresses, then we will cover different time sections as we go on or as we go through. So, right now, though, we're starting with the 1st through the 8th. This is going to be something a little bit more in-depth. I'm hoping that you guys find these a lot more useful than the weeklies were whenever I was doing those. Excuse me. I'm taking a lot more time to do these, putting in a lot more information. So hopefully that will translate into much more benefit for you. We'll find out, won't we? If you want to scroll through the time where I'm putting down cards and shuffling, feel free. I do keep this part of my videos so far just because I know that some people do like to witness that. So even though I don't have a camera on the cards, at least I think you can pretty much tell what I'm doing from the sounds happening. So anyway, feel free to scroll if you would like. La da 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 da, la da da da, la da 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 da. Okay, Pisces, your cards are on the table. We are going to start by looking at your environment. And your environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. Usually it's home, but sometimes it can be some other place as well. So you want to keep kind of an open mind about that. It looks like there's definitely something new going on in your environment, or you're in a new environment. And it looks like, I don't know, it almost looks to me like Pisces, like you've moved and now you're resting, or you've started something really new with the environment and now you're resting. You're taking some downtime. Yeah, and I think that you're enjoying whatever is new about the environment. You are exploring that, and you may be a little bit on sort of a high about this new environment or the new thing that you have going on in your environment. And I think that you're taking some time to really explore this, and you're sort of shutting out other people for a little bit while you're doing this. You're sort of keeping everybody else at bay while you just really, yeah, while you just explore and enjoy this new environment. La da da da, la da da da, la da da da. I think I like that. Not 100% sure I like that, but I think I like that. Next, let's look at your subconscious leanings. You definitely are very hopeful about something, and you are letting go of some negative feelings from the past. I think somebody had expressed something to you before that was a little bit more negative about how they felt about you or what they thought of you. And I think you're letting that go. You're letting that be behind you, and you're hopeful to pick up some more new positive energy moving forward. And that's what your subconscious is really working on. Now we're going to look at learning style and communication style as it pertains to this particular life cycle. I think I'm done. There was just one. Just one sneeze. Okay, excuse me. I am back again now, though. All right, so learning style was what we're going to start with. It looks like you're taking a more laid-back attitude about learning right now. So this would be, you know, you're probably not taking any formal classes that have really high-pressure deadlines. You may be doing something that's more self-paced, or you may not be taking a class at all. You may just be, you know, picking up whatever information becomes obvious to you, but not really pushing for too much information. There are some things that interest you, and those things you're digging for information, but overall, for the most part, I think you're being pretty laid back about your learning style during this particular time frame. La da da da. Next thing that we have showing up is your communication style. There is a little bit of communication coming up here about emotions, but also about finances that I'm seeing. And it looks like you are talking to somebody about some pretty complicated issues. I don't necessarily feel like they're bad. I just feel like there's a lot of details about what it is that you're talking about. So, you know, this could be like if you're starting a business, there might be a lot of details that you have to put in place. If there's something going on in the house, there might be a lot of details that you have to sort out, you know, but there's something that is more complicated that I feel like you're communicating with somebody or a group of somebody's about. I feel like this also has to do with scheduling, like there are things that have to be scheduled for just particular times or for things to be just in a particular order here. And I think that overall, your casual communication is just very much optimistic and sunshiny. I don't really, for your casual communication, I just don't have too much focus on any particular thing other than just things that are making you happy and excited. La da da da, that's kind of good. All of that actually is pretty good. You've obviously got some kind of project going based on that. All right, next we're looking at work, Pisces. So if you've been with me a while, you already know that I see work in two different ways. I see it as that thing we do to make a living or to feel productive in the community, and I also see it as what we are doing to make us happier with our own particular selves. So we're going to start with outer work first, and then we'll look at inner work after that. Work on the outside. Seems to me like things are not going the way that they should be. Not everybody's on the same page, pulling for the same direction when it comes to work on the outside. So if you're working with other people on some type of project, they may be heading one direction, you may be heading another direction. Nothing is really happening because you guys aren't all pulling together. I feel like also at work, you're kind of feeling like you're not bringing a lot of talents or skills actually to the plate. You're feeling like you're a little off your game or you're not as good as you would like to be whenever it comes to work. And I think the idea of these things going the way they're going is putting you in a situation where you are making some kind of decision regarding work. And I think that decision is going to be about a change, whether you're going to be changing how you approach this project that you're working on with other people, or whether you're going to be changing what project you're working on. But there's definitely a decision here about change because it's obvious that what's going on right now isn't working at work. Okay, so let's look at inner work. So I think your inner work has to do a lot with the idea that you're coming into more peace and more harmony with yourself. It looks to me like other people may have been putting you down or making you feel like you weren't good enough. And you're coming into this place where you're realizing, you know what? Yes, I am. And I think you're coming there really in a conscious way. And I'm getting that you're feeling like, you know what, they don't have to think I'm good enough. It's okay even. If they don't think I'm good enough, that's fine. But I know, in my heart of hearts, I know that I'm good enough. I don't have to fight about it, but I know that I'm good enough. And that's your inner work. I think you've come to this decision that, you know what, I'm not going to let those outside beings make me think less of myself just because they're having a rotten day. Because I'm still just as worthy today as on the days that they're having good days. All right? So you're setting your own self-worth. You're not relying on other people to tell you what your worth is. That's your inner work. Inner work, inner work. Next, what are we looking at? Pisces, Pisces. We're looking at that part of your personality which is being grown or changed as you go through this particular time frame. You're completing something. You're getting to the end of a goal or project and actually accomplishing that goal or project. And I think that now there's two things that are coming up about this. Number one, it's stressful to be at the end of this. And I think that the reason it's stressful is because now you've completed this goal. You've finished this project, whatever it is. You've hit this target that you had set for yourself. And now I think it's stressful because now you don't know what to do next. You haven't set a new target yet. You haven't set a new goal yet. You haven't figured out, okay, well, what's the next step now? So you've come to this completion and now you're stressed out because now it's almost like, okay, I'm really proud of myself for that, but what do I do next? Because there's no plan here for the future. So I think you're going to be stressing out on that and worrying about, okay, well, I need to put together a plan for the future. What's my next goal? What's the next thing I'm working towards? All right. So next thing we're looking at is talking to me about those things that you stand for. And it looks to me like you've taken some time to be by yourself, to think some things over, to really decide what your priorities are, what's important to you, and what your deal breakers are. Okay? So what's important to you in the positive way, and also what's important to you in the negative way that you are not interested in. So you've taken some time to do this, and I think you still are taking some time to do this, and you're doing this because there are things going on in your life that you're just not satisfied with. And you're digging into, well, why am I not satisfied with this? Everybody around me thinks I should be satisfied with this. Aquarius got something similar to this at one point during the month yesterday too. But I'm not satisfied. And so you're taking this time to figure out what's the disconnect there? What is it that would make you feel satisfied? What is it that you should move forward towards? And I think that you are, even as you are spending this alone time, I do think that you are communicating with someone about this. And I think you're actually communicating with Spirit about this. You're talking to God, or you're talking to somebody who loved you, who has crossed over, or who loves you, I guess I should say, because that love doesn't die just because they leave their body. And I think you're really conferring with this other person or with Spirit about this whole idea of, why am I not satisfied? What would make me satisfied? What's important to me? Not what's important to everybody who loves me or what's important to everybody around me, but what's important to me. All right. Next thing that we're looking at, those are very important things. So that's something that you're actually standing up for, that you're taking the time to do that. How the other person perceives you. Well, the person who sort of challenged you on this, they see you as not being particularly fond of them. First of all, that's the first thing that jumps out to me. But they also see you as somebody who is happy and somebody who is recovering from a situation that really shook your world up. So they see you in a pretty positive light. The only thing that could be considered negative here is that they don't feel like you really like them that much. I don't know if you do or not. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. They don't feel like you do. And that could be because you're doing the seclusion thing to set your priorities. They may be feeling like they're missing you. And like if you really cared about them, that you would let them into your period of seclusion to help you set your priorities. Nobody can set your priorities but you. Not really. Not well. Okay. Let's look next, Pisces. at what I'm calling the flex point in this time frame. And your flex point has to do with the lesson or experience that you're learning as you go through this time frame. And it also has to do with where things start to go a little bit of a different direction than they have prior to this. So with your flex point, you have some creative and inspiring things that are going on. You've gotten this message saying, hey, here's a great idea. Why don't you work on it? And I think you're taking it and you are running with it. And I think that you're doing this very independently and that you have a lot of confidence about it. I do think that you may be going in a whole bunch of directions all at once to get this thing off the ground or get it started. And that may be putting a little bit of stress on you, or a little bit of, it puts you into a little bit of scattered energy. But I feel like also, even though you're working on a bunch of different things towards building this big thing, I do feel like your energy is focused on whatever this big thing is that you're working towards with all these other little scattered energies. It may even be putting a business together. It could be getting ready for a baby to come. But, there's just a lot of little things that need to be taken care of to put your big inspiring idea into place and be ready for it. Be ready to launch it. What's going on at the same time? Interesting. It looks to me like you're getting, at the same time, you're also getting in another message about something else that you could be doing that would be exciting and interesting and thrilling to you. But I feel like this may be a little bit more of a group thing, and I think you're feeling left out on that one. I think you're feeling like, you know what, I don't really have what you guys need for me to bring to the table for that. And I think you're deciding to go with this first thing that I saw, whatever that is. And that's going to be different for all of you. If you guys want, a personal private reading where I look at just your energy and we look at what that is, then that would happen in a private reading. But this is a general reading, so it's covering a lot of people. So we're going to leave it general. We're going to leave that door open so it can apply to a lot of people. So anyway, I think you're making a choice between two different things that are creative, that are things that make you feel inspired and happy. I think one of them has to do with a group, and you may feel like you don't have what it takes, even though you've been invited to be a part of it. And I think that you are backing away from that one because you really want to stick with this one that you've started more independently. At the same time, what else is happening? Your intuition is definitely in high gear. Are you guys starting an intuitive business? It looks like not only is your intuition in high gear, it is also helping you with creating security financially or materially. And I think that using your intuition to create security is something that's fascinating or interesting to you right now. Excuse me. So this can be happening a couple of ways. This could be using your intuition to create security. Could be like what I do, putting myself out there to the public as a psychic and a medium and a Reiki practitioner, or a Reiki master, I should say. This could also be, though, and I think for more of you it'll apply this way, but there's a significant number that it's going to apply that first way that I talked about. But there's also some of you who the work that you do the best work whenever you allow your intuition to flow into the inspiration for that work. And so whether this is art, whether this is some kind of consulting, whether this is really, there's a lot of different work scenarios where that could be happening. But your intuition is definitely helping you add to security. And I think you're realizing that and you're finding it fascinating. Now, when I say that there's a lot of different ways that that can happen, a lot of different work scenarios for that, I'll give you an example from my own personal life. Way before I knew that I was psychic, like decades before I realized that I was psychic, I had a job where I was I was in charge of crafts for a Joann's fabric store, and we had this crafts section, and we had to create all the pegboards, and there would be like hundreds of places for pegs to go on these pegboards, and then you would have all these tiny little pieces of merchandise to put out. And the only thing that you would have is you would have, once you made up the pegboards and put all the pegs in and put all the stickers on, you could see the SKUs of everything that needed to go there. But there might be like 350 things on a really full pegboard with tiny little itty bitty artsy craftsy stuff. And so then you would have this box, and it would be, you know, like about 3 feet high and 1.5 feet in diameter both ways, just packed with little stuff that was all supposed to go on this particular spot. And so you would just reach your hand in and you would grab the first thing, and it would be beads or some other kind of knickknack. And then you would look at the SKU on that and look for the SKU on the pegboard. And I was always able to, within the first 2 labels that I looked at, find the right SKU. Now, other people would come into my department and would try to help me, and it might take them 20 minutes to find the right place to hang things. But I would always know really quickly within the first 2 labels that I looked at. So that was intuition that was helping me with my position. It was helping me add to my security because it was helping me to get my job done more quickly and more efficiently than most people could. So when I say that intuition can impact security in a lot of different ways, that's just one tiny example, you know. It can also be intuition tells you where to be, like what's the right place and the right time to be to talk to somebody about a new job or any other kind of opportunity. So anyway, I'm going to leave that alone. I think we've talked about it enough, but that's something else that's going on as you are starting your creative endeavor here. La da 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 and da da. Now, where do we see you at the end of this time frame? That's the next thing that we're looking at. We're seeing that you're not feeling very patient. You're wanting things to happen faster than they've been happening so far. And it also looks like because you're wanting things to happen faster than they have been so far, you're feeling like you're only one person and you can only do so much. So you're going to have to call in some help. And I think that when you call in some help, that really helps you with that whole impatience factor. It helps you to feel less overwhelmed by the whole situation, and it helps you to get it all taken care of in a more timely manner. So that's where we see you at the end of this time frame, Pisces. So we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to take a break, and then I'll come back and we will hit the next time frame for you. See you soon. Hello again, Pisces. This time we're going to check out August 9th to 15th to see what's rocking your world during that time frame. Let's see what comes up for you. Right now we're just putting a good shuffle on these cards. Once we get a good shuffle on them, then we'll start putting them down and see what comes out. Thank you for spending some of your precious time with me today. I do appreciate it. And thank you to those of you who are putting thumbs ups on these videos and sharing them with people that might find them beneficial. Who wouldn't find a video like this beneficial, right? Who that's a Pisces or who knows a Pisces? La da 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 da, la da da da, la da 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 da, la da da da. If it seems like I'm putting down the cards slow, because it seems like that to me, it's because I'm using this deck. It's called the Good Tarot. It's a beautiful deck. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. But for whatever reason, the cards are very glossy, but they seem to like to stick together. So it does take a little bit more effort to get a card out and down on the table. Okay, let's get started, shall we? First of all, we are going to look at your environment, Pisces. What's going on here? It looks like there's been some kind of fighting or debating about something going on in your environment, and that has come to a halt. There is still some communication. I don't think you're very satisfied with what's happening in your environment at this moment. Nope, nope. And I think that's why there's still some communication, but you are, I think having peace is more important to you than fighting about whatever this is endlessly, or debating, or negotiating, whatever scale that's on, whatever part of the scale that's on. All right, looking at your subconscious leanings next, Pisces. You are definitely thinking about a solid commitment or contract that you have with someone or with a company. And I think that you're feeling like you're restricted and you're limited by this contract. And I think you're feeling that your restriction and your limitation comes from them not being truthful, or from them manipulating you in some way, or manipulating the contract or the agreement in some way. So your subconscious is really working on, what should I do about this feeling of being limited or restricted by this other person or other company's lack of integrity, shall we say. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about learning style and also communication style. There's definitely something you're learning during this time frame that has to do with money or financial matters that's coming up very clearly here. I think you're learning about what are your advantages, what are your strengths, what can you do in a particular situation having to do with money or finances. And I think there's also something else that you're trying to look for information in, a different topic where you're trying to find information. And I think it's really hard to find information. What I'm hearing is part of the reason it's hard to find information is because a lot of people haven't done what you're wanting to do. And so there's just not a lot of information available about that. Now, looking next at your communication style during this time frame. I think that your communications during this time are very grounded, very much in touch with what's going on in reality. I don't think you're telling people about your dreams. I think you're telling people what's happening in the real everyday world here. There is a little bit of communication too about things that have happened in the past coming up. And I think that communication about things that have happened in the past is because you're expecting a cycle to repeat, and you're trying to help somebody else understand that if we continue on the track that we're on, this is where we end up. And so that's how you're trying to communicate that. And I feel like there's also some communication going on between you and between somebody who's crossed over. So Pisces, you're highly intuitive. This could be your own mediumship skills. This could be that you're hiring a medium as a go-between so that you can communicate with somebody who's crossed over. But either way, I do feel like part of your communications during this week from August 9th to the 15th do have to do with somebody who's crossed over. Okay? La, da, 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 da. Next thing, let's look at work for you Pisces during this week. Wow, not a lot has changed at work. I think that there's something going on where you're feeling left out of the big picture whenever it comes to work. Your self-esteem is low because other people are putting your self-esteem low. What happened to the inner work you were doing last time of not paying attention to what other people say about your self-esteem and valuing your self-worth for your own self? And once again, we still have some kind of project that's just not moving forward at work because people are going different directions here. This has to be so frustrating for you, Pisces. Eek. Eek. Okay, well, let's look at inner work for this time frame. I think you are still working on bringing up your self-esteem and your self-confidence. And I think that you're recognizing that part of the reason it's down is because of the influence of other people on how you're looking at yourself and how you're thinking about yourself. But it comes up to me as, even though you're aware, you're still having a struggle with this. This is not something that is under control yet. It is part of a process that is ongoing, which is obvious because this was here the last time frame too. So you're still working on this process of bringing up that self-esteem and that self-confidence. And I think you're more and more aware of how that's impacted by other people around you, which means that you're really working on figuring out how to disentangle what other people think of you from what you think of yourself and how much you value yourself. Next thing we're looking at, Pisces, talks to me about that part of you which is growing or expanding right now. And I think that you're really tapped into your psychic abilities. And third eye is coming in as a major component here. I think you've made a decision that you've waited long enough to really grow these abilities, and now you're moving forward. You're making the effort to actually expand your psychic or energetic abilities. That's where you're being grown or expanded right now. Interesting. I like it. I like it. All right, let's look at what you stand for. Looks to me like there's somebody in your sphere of influence who is normally a very logical, quick-thinking person, somebody who's very smart, but somebody who doesn't... emotions are not as important to this person. It's all about the intellect. That's where they really focus. Not even so much at a conscious level, but a subconscious level. And so there is a person like this in your sphere of influence that somebody else says, you know, well, what's wrong with that guy? He doesn't do this, or how come he doesn't do that? And for most of you, it will be a guy. For a few of you, it may be a more assertive female, but for most of you, it'll be a guy. And I think that this person has been under a lot of stress lately because they feel like they've run out of ideas about how to make things work or how to make things go forward. And so as this other person says something to you about our person that's under a lot of stress, you're defending that person. You're saying, hey, don't you realize ... And you're standing up for that person. Okay? How other people are perceiving you right now, generally this is the person that said, you know, oh, what's wrong with that guy? That's usually going to be this person that shows up here in this part of the spread. How they perceive you. They see you as somebody who is feeling actually pretty heartbroken about somebody who's come back from the past. And I don't think that you want to get things back going with them, whether this is a friend that's come back from the past or whether this is a lover that's back from the past. I think when this person comes back from the past, first of all, you're not very happy to see them. I don't think you guys had a lot of wonderful, thrilling memories in the past, or if you did, you had even more not so wonderful, not so thrilling memories. So you're not so thrilled to see them to start with. But at the same time, telling them that you're not interested in pursuing any type of relationship with them, I think that really breaks your heart, because I think that at one point in time you would have given anything to be able to continue on where you guys had left off. But now at this point, and I think you're finding it incredibly sad that so much time has passed and that things have changed so much, and that those feelings that used to be there are just gone. I'm sorry, Pisces. What do they say? You can never go back home? All right. We're going to move on. We're looking next at that pivot point or that flex point during this week. Looks to me like you have been and are being very fair-handed with somebody in your sphere of influence, doing what's fair and what's right to them, for them, with them. But I feel like they've made some kind of decision or some kind of judgment against you. And I don't feel like this is fair. I don't feel like it was a fair decision. And yet at the same time, I think that you're really hopeful that this decision can be turned around. So the flex point really is this person making that decision that's fair, that's not fair, I mean, that's against you, even though you've treated them really well and fairly. And you're still hoping that that decision can possibly be reversed. Okay, so that's our flex point. That's where things start to change in this time frame. Now it looks to me like you're going through a rough time, but as you're going through a rough time, you have lots of people around you who either are willing to come up and support you in a romantic way, or who care about you in a non-romantic way, but also are willing to support you. So you have a lot of emotional support as you're going through this rough time. And I think that kind of ties in with telling that person from the past, you know what, I can't be friends with you anymore, or I can't date you anymore, or whatever that is. I think you've got a lot of people there that are willing to bolster you up and help you and encourage you through that, even though that is something that has made you so sad. Also, with this idea of somebody making an unfair judgment against you, I think we're looking at same friends, same support network, same family members, still there, still on your side, still encouraging and trying to uplift. At the same time, definitely turning loose of something. I think you're turning loose of an old idea or an old dream that you had before, and I think that you have sent out a communication about that. You could have had this in person, but you've definitely sent some signal in some way to somebody that you are turning loose, that you are letting go, and you're taking control back of your own life. You're not letting that old hope or that old dream of things working out well, you're not letting that help you make your decisions. Now you're taking control of your own life, and you're doing things that make sense for the now, for how things actually are in the present. Now, where do we see you at the end of this week? We see you in a situation where there's something that is that normally would be a temptation to you or would cause fear for you, and that's not causing that anymore. You've done enough work with yourself that it's just no longer is a temptation, or at least right now it's not, or it's not something that you're fearful of where normally you would be. And it looks to me like, you know, there is definitely a love here that has gone cold, and I think that this is what you were always afraid of, would be that this love would just go cold and just die. And I think what's happened is that you've actually faced that fear. You've seen that happen, and you're realizing that, yeah, that's just the way it is. And you're realizing that it doesn't feel as bad as you thought it would feel. At one point you thought it would be devastating, But now it doesn't feel as bad as you thought it would feel. It feels more, it's still sad, but also it just feels like just the way it is. It feels right and appropriate as well. Okay? So really coming to terms with this idea that that love is just not there anymore in that particular situation. Like I said, friendship, romantic thing, either way, that love just isn't there anymore, and you're coming to terms with that and accepting that. All right, so that's a pretty good place to be. We're going to leave you there for the end of that week. I'm going to take a break and come back, and we'll do the next 3rd of August, or the next quarter of August, whenever I show back up. Thank you for being here. Welcome back, Pisces. We are here to cover August 16th through 22nd this time around. Let's see what's going on in your world this time. This time, this time. This time for Pisces. Okie dokie. All right, let's start with your environment once again. Let's take a peek here, Pisces. It looks like there's something here that you're still not exactly thrilled about with your environment. There's something that you have seen the truth on. You've seen the light on. Something has shown its true colors. Do you have paint wearing through? But something has shown its true colors, and you're not so thrilled about it. And I think that you're seeing that this could be something that happens repetitively, like this could keep happening if you don't do something about it. And I think you're putting a stop to it right now. And I think that the way you're putting a stop to it is because you have gotten, I think that it's very likely some of you have gotten loans to take care of some kind of maintenance issue, but definitely you've gotten the go-ahead to take care of whatever this is that looks like it could be something that keeps happening, that you don't want it to keep happening. Doesn't make sense to you to let it keep happening. So you've got the go-ahead or the ability to go ahead and take care of that, and that's what you're doing. Okay? La, da, 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 da. Next thing we're looking at does talk to me about your subconscious leanings. It looks to me like you have been a little bit obsessed about the idea of collaborating together with somebody else to get your foundation set. Whether this is financial or whether this is emotional, this could play out both ways. And it looks like your subconscious is really working on shutting down that obsession and coming into a healthier place about this whole idea about setting your foundation and using collaboration to do that. Maybe, I mean, your subconscious is working on maybe we don't need to use collaboration. Maybe we can set a solid foundation on our own. But I think here that also your subconscious is seeing that waiting to collaborate with somebody else or trying to collaborate with somebody else for some of you isn't working. It's going in the opposite direction. Okay? So that's subconscious leanings. Next thing that we're looking at has to do with learning style and also communication style. So we're going to start with learning style first. Lots of emotions going on around new information that you're picking up right now. I feel like you've got a lot of energy coming in, a lot of information coming in about energy, but also a lot of information coming in via energy, through energy. So through meditation or communication with spirit. So it looks to me like you guys are getting really focused on this, working on your psychic stuff. We kind of saw that as your part of your personality that you were growing or expanding last time. This time, as far as your learning, we're seeing you really growing in that area. Now, communication, what's happening here? You have been doing a lot of reflecting on yourself and about your situations and the situations also of people around you in your sphere of influence. And I think you're really working on making a transformation. And I think you're talking to people about this idea of making this transformation. And you're getting ideas about how to do it. You're sharing ideas about how to do it. And I think you're in that communication even, you're finding out some magical information that's going to be able to help you. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about your work. So we're going to look at outer work first, then we'll look at inner work. If you remember, I look at work two ways. Outer work has to do with this idea of coming out of isolation, but not feeling really great about it. So I think you may be coming into contact with more people whenever it comes to work right now, but you're feeling like maybe that's not the best decision I can make. Like maybe whoever's in charge of making these decisions, maybe they're just jokers. It feels really like a ungrounded type of decision for you, something that doesn't, like this decision does not have a lot of merit. And so you're very much uncomfortable with this idea of being around more people right now when it comes to your work. Now, looking at inner work. Your inner work right now has to do with this idea about being grounded, period. Being aware of what's going on physically in your environment and around you, being able to look at things realistically in the present, being able to be in that moment that we're in with each moment that passes. And there is the idea too about being in interactions with other people. I feel like work had to do with being around other people, but this has to do with being in interactions with other people. You're really working on being in more interactions with other people where those interactions are grounded and based in reality, not in dream world or fantasy land or false expectation type land, that type of thing. Okay? Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about that part of your personality that's being grown or expanded right now. What? What? You guys would not believe how much I shuffled and reshuffled this deck off camera because I was a little worried about how the cards stick together, that maybe I wouldn't shuffle enough on camera. And I mean, I did a thorough shuffling, and I have a group of cards in front of me that came up, that also came up the last time. I don't think it was in the same position, but this is the same exact group. Same exact group. All right, so where you're growing or expanding right now is having to do with this idea of somebody who has come back from the past, and I don't think that you were really happy to see them come back from the past because of the negative memories that you have associated with them, the lack of trust that you have associated with them. And this person has come back from the past. You guys were communicating, and then I think they fell off the face of the earth. They quit communicating again. And I think you're actually happy and relieved about this idea that they quit communicating again. This is something that's actually making you joyful. That's where you're growing or expanding right now. So isn't that interesting? Same exact 3 cards, but a little different translation this time. All right. Let's look next at those things that you stand for. Oh. All right. You're traveling. You're traveling away from home. You may even be moving. But you're definitely traveling away from home, and you are very happy about it. And somebody may be criticizing you for it or questioning you about it. And so you're standing up for that position. Now, how they see you, they're seeing you, interestingly. This may be the person that you're moving away from or that you're traveling away from. Maybe you're trying to get a break from somebody. This isn't my take a break card. This is travel, though. This may be a move. May very well be a move for you, Pisces. How somebody, or you may be pushing somebody else out of your house. That could be happening too. But you're very happy about it. Okay, so don't be distressed about this. Now, how this other person sees you is that they see you as being less than honest. And they see you as somebody who likes to instigate, who likes to fight, who likes to stir the pot. And they did see you in the past as their ideal, and they're starting to realize that you're close to their ideal, but not really their ideal. So this is interesting. I think you may be moving away from a person, or you may be actually asking a person to move away from you there. All right, so the next stack of cards that we're going to look at talks to me about the flex point during this week. Oh yeah, we've got movement coming up, definitely. It's interesting because this movement that we had before, yeah, I feel like that's temporary movement. This could be like going to stay with your mom and then coming back later, or going on vacation and coming back later. And what we have coming up now as the flex point talks about waiting a little while to travel and not work. I think you're waiting a little while for vacation. Okay, so you're defending the idea of going on vacation, but you're not actually taking vacation just yet. That's what I'm getting out of this. You're already having to defend the idea that, hey, I want a vacation and I want to take it without you. You're planning that. You're having to defend that, but you haven't done it yet. You're just planning it. At the same time, there is something going on where, I think that you are communicating with friends and letting friends know how much you actually care about them or how important they are to you as you're holding off on this trip you're planning. La da 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 da. You may be holding off on this trip you're planning because you're feeling like you're not quite where you want to be financially to do the trip. And so you're waiting until you've got everything together financially so that you can do the trip. Meanwhile, there's a lot of communication going on between you and other people here. Probably having to do with the trip or at the destination of this trip. Now, la, da, 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 da. Where do we see you at the end of the week? So at the end of the week, We are seeing that you're basically taking more control over your life. You're enjoying the beautiful things, the good things. Where you may have felt like you were in competition with somebody else before, that's no longer happening as you take control. And I think this is a personal relationship where you felt like you were having to compete with other people. This may be a romantic relationship for a lot of you, but for some of you, this is going to be something more to do with family is what I'm feeling like. I don't feel so much friends. I feel more family. That there's been, some type of rivalry for attention or for affection. And I think that that is no longer in play by the time we get to the end of this week. And you are you're taking more control of your life in that area as far as what you need as far as attention and what you're getting as far as attention, what you want as far as attention. But also just good things. You're just enjoying your life. You're not, I don't feel like you're so stressed about who got this or who got that or whatever, or who said this about somebody else. I don't think you're getting jealous or stressed about any of that. I think you're just enjoying your life. And that's really taking the edge off of this whole thing that has felt competitive previous to this. Not only are you starting to appreciate yourself more, but so are other people around you. Good place to end the week. So let me wrap this up. Thank you very much for being here, and I'll be back soon, and we'll look at the last part of August for you. Hello, Pisces. We are back again. This time we're going to look at August the 23rd through the 31st and see what is coming up for you during that time frame. See what's going on in your world, what is tripping your triggers and making you excited and happy. What are you focused on? What are you talking about? What are you learning about? What are you experiencing? Let's look. Let's look. It's all right here. It's all right here. Okay. We have your cards down for the last time segment of the month of August. Let's see what we're looking at from the 23rd to the 31st. This is actually a week and 2 days, so we're looking at a 9-day time segment this time. Alrighty. Okay, so when we're looking at your environment, it does look like you are coming back to doing something the way that you used to do it before. You may be coming back to your environment. Earlier we saw you talking about going on vacation. I think we said that was delayed though, didn't we? That didn't happen at this time frame. So then what we have here, maybe you went on vacation or something, and maybe you also planned another one. What we have here is that you're coming back to something the way that it used to be whenever it comes to your environment. I think you're feeling a lot less restricted here. But it does feel to me like you do still feel like your environment could be much more beneficial to you than what it has been, even though you are coming back to it. Or even though you're going back to the way something used to be. La da 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 in the environment. Let's look next at your subconscious leanings, Pisces. What do we have? What do we have? Looks like you're thinking about the idea of somebody coming back from the past. And this is not the same person that we saw before, because you would be happy if this person would come back from the past. Is this Pisces or is this somebody else? it looks to me like the people that you're thinking about coming back from the past and that you wish would come back from the past is a couple of people, and they are somehow tied together, whether they work together or whether they're married. This could potentially be parents, although I'm not really sure about that. Could be like a dad and a stepmom. Ba-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I feel like what you're thinking about here is that you would like these people to come back from the past, but the female or the more submissive version of this, out of this couple, has basically cut you out of their life, and the male version of this couple, the male component of this couple, doesn't feel like they have any control over the situation. Like they just don't, nothing they're saying, nothing they're doing is changing the situation. They're just kind of along for the ride here whenever this person cuts you out of their life. But in your subconscious, you're working on this situation. Like, how can I turn this situation around? How can I get these people back in my life? Okay, so that's subconscious. Next, we're going to look at communication style and learning style. We are going to start with learning style, though. I do think you are picking up a lot of information during this time frame, and a lot of this information has to do with making your life better, making your life happier, more peaceful, more calm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And as far as your communication style, I do think that there's something going on where you're communicating about money, and I think this is a complicated situation, so this may be about like a home loan or who knows, but there's some kind of complicated situation about money. Maybe you're just communicating about your finances and trying to, get them sorted in some way or other. But there are holes in your communication. That's what I really see here, is that there are holes in your communication that people are noticing. Like you're very grounded and very much present about some things, but there are some things that you're just not talking about. Okay? You just refuse. Not up for discussion. It's the best way to say it. Okay? So next, Pisces, we're going to be looking at work for you. I think you're not very happy at work. We keep having this come up. We had another thing where you were coming up as not being very satisfied. This is not feeling very happy at work, feeling really ungrounded at work. There's peace at work. I think that this feels like it's a stressed out type of peace, like it's a walking on eggshells type of peace. And it looks to me like you're just not feeling very grounded. You're not happy here. You're not happy when it comes to work. It may be that you're not happy because you're not getting paid enough. I don't have that you're not working. I just have that you're not happy at work. And I think that even though it's peaceful now, there's been enough bickering going on there that it just makes you feel a little stressed out. A little stressed out and a little uneasy about the future there. Okay, let's look at inner work now. It looks to me like there's somebody in your sphere of influence that you just kind of don't care for, to be straight up. And I think that even though you kind of don't care for them, you really don't know how to tell them that. Pisces, you all hate confrontation. You're really trying to work on what would be a polite way to let them know that they don't have to be your companion. Or they don't have to talk to you so much, or they don't have to be around so much. And that's really your inner work, is figuring out, how do I let this person know without hurting their feelings? Is that even possible? Okay, so that's your inner work for this particular time frame. Excuse me, I just bumped the camera. La da 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 da. Okay, where are you growing and expanding in your personality right now? I think that right now you are walking away from something that just doesn't pay you enough. It leaves you more depleted than anything else. And I think that you're feeling really, I think you're feeling really capable. I think that you feel like, you know what, if I can walk away from this, I'll actually have things covered. I'll be able to handle this. But this thing is costing me too much, so I have to walk away from it. That's what I see there. And then, let's see, next thing that we have coming up talks to me about those things that you stand for. There is something here that you're not very happy about, where you were in competition with somebody, and I feel like when you put yourself into competition with that person, you did not come out the winner. All right? And I think you're standing up for the idea that you're not happy about that. Like, that's not exactly what you were shooting for. How other people perceive you. They see you as somebody who is a hard worker and who is working hard, but they're also seeing that your self-esteem and your self-confidence are low, and that's making it hard for you to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, because that low self-esteem and self-confidence is kind of hobbling you. So you're putting in lots of time doing work, but it may or may not actually be bringing any kind of benefit. And I think also that what they're seeing is that with this work, you're trying to sort of avoid thinking about this situation where you lost this competition, and you're just trying to focus on other things instead. All right, so next we're going to look at the flex point of this month once I get all my cards into more easier access for me. Okay, so flex point, lesson or experience. Has to do with communication. I think you're really calling on spirit a lot during this time. I think you're calling on spirit a lot. I think that there is something or someone that you're paying off or paying back. It may be that there's somebody that you're paying back by just not communicating with them anymore. This is a payback time. I do think that you're relying on spirit a lot during this time to sort of help you get through and to guide you. But it does look to me like whatever you're doing here as far as this payoff or payback, I think you're paying off something because you don't want to hear from them again. This could be if you have a credit really bad terms, and you've just decided, you know what, I never want to deal with these people again. I never want to use this card again. I'm paying it off and I am never touching them again. I'm canceling the account, that type of thing. Because this is paying something off so that you don't ever have to hear from them again. I would say that's what it is for 99% of you. There's that 1% that you're using your silence as a payback for somebody. But I don't see that being the majority of you. And I think a lot of you are, you're working with spirit on how to pay this thing off. Spirit's helping you with how to pay this thing off and how to get it so that it's not hanging over your head anymore. Okay? So while you're paying something off so that you never have to deal with them again with spirit's help, what else is going on? I think there is somebody who is approaching you and they're letting you know how they feel about you, and how they feel about you is positive. It may even be of a sexual nature. Doesn't have to be, but definitely they care about you. But you're not feeling it. You're not feeling it, Pisces. And at the same time that all of this is going on, there is some kind of truth coming out that has not been at the surface before. This is going to be in a situation where you kind of knew something was fishy. You knew you didn't have all the information that you wanted or you needed. And now the truth is coming up, and so now a lot of the pieces of the puzzle are fitting together. Now you're understanding what's going on in that situation. It's really a good thing that this truth is showing up. This offers you a lot of benefit in actually knowing this truth now. And a lot of times when we have a truth show up like that, this can change how we stand with a situation. This can change the level of participation we want with a situation. What I'm seeing here is that even after the truth has come up, you're still deciding that, you know what, I want to continue on as it has been with this situation. So this truth that comes up, I think, is something that is a relief to you, or is something that is, at the very minimal, it's neutral, but I think it may be a relief or something that actually makes you happy about a situation that you're already involved in. Excuse me. Now, towards the end of the week, what we see going on is that there's somebody who has a lot of feeling for you, who would like to do more with those feelings than talk about them, would like to move those feelings into the bedroom, and you're not happy about this. I think we just saw this person, and you're just like, you know, I'm just not feeling it. So I think you're not happy about this. I don't see... What bothers me is I don't see you shutting this down. I just don't see you not being happy about it. Are you delaying it as long as you can, trying to push this person off? Probably. But the biggest thing that I'm seeing here, first off, is just that you're just not happy that you're even in this situation, much less that you have to think about how you're going to keep this person at arm's length, or how you're going to make them, you know, leave you alone and let you do your thing. Okay? So anyway, that's where we see you at the end of the month, Pisces. I appreciate y'all being here, putting thumbs ups on this video, especially if you relate to it, and sharing this video with other people it may be helpful to. Also, thank you to those of you who are ordering private readings and private reiki sessions from me. It is because of all of you guys' support that I'm able to do what I love to do for my living. So thank you very much. Everybody have a fantastic month, and if I don't see you for a private reading, then the next time I'll see you, we'll be back on the next video. Peace out.